Show me what you've got. It's Mike Levin, October 26, 2017. At about coming up on 9 a.m. I've been getting out earlier lately, thankfully, mostly due to getting to sleep earlier, talking my daughter into being tired. A difficult thing to do, like telling someone to not think of purple elephants or one of those other examples where once you fix the wrong side of the mind on the problem, you're going to get any number of solutions to that problem, none of them correct, because it's not the rational mind that's in charge. And falling asleep is one thing where you most want that inner lizard brain in charge, or at least lower level mammal that knows you need to convert some of the stuff you consumed into self. So many topics, boy. I do ramble, don't I? So instead of talking about, sugars and proteins and whether carbs are okay and how much and stuff that pops into my mind, I'm going to use my Apple Watch as a teleprompter. Currently it's on the music. Well, it's not really music. I was listening to Algorithms to Live By. And I'm going to switch that using the task switcher to the Reminders app. And now, maybe you can see that, I'm not sure, but I have a few check mark items on my watch that I can just look at my watch, glance at my watch as I walk and talk about. And what those check mark items are is, why am I still in SEO? Why all this YouTube? And why no editing, or very little editing? And that's the video I wanted to make today when I was planning this morning's video, but then I decided, you know what? Let's capture the moment. That sounds like filler to me. I can talk about that stuff anytime. I'm moving to Urby, a urban lifestyle company in Staten Island, and I think there are a few other places like Jersey City, where they build a very, I guess you would have to call it, Brooklyn-esque, modern Brooklyn-esque, not old-time New York-y Brooklyn, whole different thing, but a modern hipster-like facility modeled after, I guess, converted warehouses that they do so often in Brooklyn, but they, I think, threw up a brand new building. It's on the coast of Staten Island, facing Statue of Liberty and Manhattan and the harbor, and it's really a wonderful location. It is Staten Island, but it's very close to the ferry, so I was pondering what my life was going to be like, and this is all lifestyle design, and this gets back to that Algorithms to Live By book that I was just listening to, and it's all becomes very circular, and I'll try and draw the quick picture, which again hopefully becomes a preview of the types of changes you can expect in my videos. This walk, for example, this particular 20-minute walk from Penn Station, which I'm at because I like to get a seat in the morning on the A train, all the way to 28 West 28th Street, which is really the lower east side, I think. Is it a west address being on the east side? Well, at any rate, it's down by Park Avenue and 28th Street, and it's a good 20-minute walk from Penn Station. And when I took that job, I thought about the commute and smiled to myself, and I said, you know what, it's still not driving the 202 expressway every morning to either get into the city or out of the city, which were my alternatives back in Philadelphia. So any way you measure it, a 20-minute walk on top of an hour subway ride is still puts me considerably ahead in the happiness factor. We have these videos, for example, where I clarify my thoughts each day and give it more of a social aspect. Of course, I don't push out a video each day, but I do clarify my thoughts every day in some channel or media. Terminology may vary, but you know, I've got different tiers or levels of journals and idea processing locations and places where I do in fact refine and edit. I am big into refining and editing, just not video. But that's the video to come. Before that, we talk about moving to Urby and optimal stopping distance. So the very example that Algorithms to Live By opens up with is the fact that 37% is the mathematically proven, because of the class of problem it is, and it can be studied, stopping distance for buying an apartment in a competitive market like San Francisco, to make sure that you will not be unhappy with your decision. If you take the first place you look at, you're liable to be disappointed. If you wait too long, you're going to miss everything that's good. So after you've looked at 37% of the properties that you intend to look at, or have spent 37% of the time you intend to spend, you should then be ready to move on the next opportunity that meets your criteria. So, moving to Staten Island to be closer to my daughter, as I knew I would be doing, I asked myself that question. Now, my problem parameters are different in classical stopping, optimal stopping, because I'm a weekend dad. And a weekend dad moving to Staten Island, I didn't know what my criteria was going to be for this apartment, except for being within at least a 10-minute drive of her, which is no problem because almost everything's 10 minutes from everything else on Staten Island, 15 or 20 minutes tops. So I knew that wasn't going to be a problem. And then the next one was make sure that weekends with dad at the place are not going to be a bust. I am on very high alert right now to not blunder my opportunity to be dad to my daughter at this particularly impressionable age of, 6 years old, coming on 7. And one of those things is to have her involved in the decision of where I'm going to live. So I can blame her, but also so that it's fun to be at. Every time she comes over, and I would never really blame, it's shared responsibility. The place is always going to have special meaning to her because she helped pick it out. But Urby's was the first place I looked at. And the Zillow people will be happy to hear, as will the Urby, that it was a result of clicking on the ad in the Zillow application. Given my search criteria, the ad was delivered at the top of the search results, I guess for a bunch of times, but I finally clicked on it, having put 2 and 2 together, in that this is that Gold Coast-ish like luxury apartments that my ex-mother-in-law tried to tell me about, that a lot of people in my situation, oh, my label, divorced dad, I get a new label, gravitate towards, because it's also got a social scene and a lot of amenities, and it's like, sign me up, except it, everything in my being, from growing up, I think mostly trained stuff, not instinctual, says no, luxury apartment, not for me. Excess, I'm not in for that stuff. I never take advantage of it. But it was really gorgeous facilities, and it has a different attitude than I expected entirely. And Addie took to it right away in the same way that she took to the Catskills right away. Now, of course, the Catskills had its, it's like the Chinese way of seeing things. Nothing's ever good or bad. The Catskills have taken on something of an annoying tone in certain areas, but that's because when you pack enough people together, there's always going to be people who have problems with people, and you can't get away from neighbors unless you go hermit, and then that's a totally different deal. That's probably going to be a different phase of my life. I'd like to do the solitude thing for a while sometime, but not now. Right now, I'm dad. Show me what you got. And I plan to be super dad. And part of being super dad is that whenever the opportunity comes up to go to my place, she should go, yeah. And so with 37% optimal stopping distance in mind and very limited time to apartment shop, Addie in tow, always going to be getting bored, always going to be stealing time away from something better that we could be doing, I went to Urby's, having clicked on this ad, called ahead, made sure I could get a Sunday tour. And I looked at, I think, 4 or it might have even been 5 places at Urby's before I said, you know what, 5 places at the same place whose prices are significantly lower than I thought they were going to be at first, given their deals to get you in, the first 2 months free, which could be averaged out over the rest of the months in order to come up with a lower monthly rent than I paid for my first place here in New York City. And I will have to continue to pay for parking, given that it's the wise choice is all garages down there. Sorry about this bright sun. It's washing everything out. Maybe I'll just walk over here. That'll add some texture to the video, visual-wise. So Addie was excited. I said, I'll take it. I got the last of their studios, which is really the size of their 1 bedrooms, just without walls put up, with different types of partitions that you can hang curtains on if you wanted to. And instead of a bedroom and living room, it's got a bed niche and a living room niche, and of course a bathroom and all that stuff. Wish I could hold up the layout. It's quite interesting. Not one of the better views available there. There's certainly better views in that complex, but I got the last of these studios, which is a really good price considering the amenities, the convenience, and how much Addie loves it. You can go from the swimming pool to sitting around a fire to laying back in an outdoor beanbag chair, all in one evening, and just hang out there and just be social. It's like, we joke in Inwood that Inwood Park is your playground, is your backyard and everything. Here at Urby's, this inner courtyard is going to be even better than that, because your kid can just run around and it's enclosed on all sides by where you live. And facing out to the harbor, there is a fence up, but your keys, your fobs get you in and out of there. And the road that used to be there is closed off. Apparently the developer had managed to get continuous pedestrian safe, probably bike riding safe. It'll be the best place to practice bike riding with Addie. And so there you go. So some more of those weird concerns get alleviated, and all those checklist items get alleviated until you're left with the fact that if you want to shut in these special deal prices, you probably got to go for a 2-year lease, and then you'll be in a situation to decide what to do by then. But in the meantime, living in a luxury apartment, closer to work, shorter commute, one that I think is going to be way more healthy for Addie growing up the rest of the way with Dad on the weekends when we're there, is less money per month than just the maintenance, the co-op maintenance on where I currently live, and lower than the mortgage. Let's be fair here. Living in Manhattan, owning property, always has a significant extra fee because of how valuable the property is. If you're not paying for it in maintenance month by month, you're paying for it once a year in real estate tax. So yeah, there's really no getting away from that. So it's not, the question is renting versus owning in very, very valuable real estate markets like Manhattan and New York City in general. Renting is not such a bad economic deal, despite all the advice people say, oh no, 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 no. Well, here's my thoughts on real estate. Yes, saving money makes you money. Compounding interest in common investments will do that. Saving money plus a little bit of management and maintenance work makes you even more money. That's real estate. And the average person, people who are not throwing their love and heart and passion into some other thing all the time, easily gravitate towards the winning formulas to make money that anyone can be guaranteed to do. It takes, the more work you're willing to put in, the less money component you need. The smarter you are about making your investments, about what property to buy and how much work to put into it, the more your return over time. Real estate is the average Joe's path to wealth, as is just saving money in municipal jobs with retirement programs and still managing to save something, because then you retire with all kinds of income. You'll get Social Security, whatever retirement programs the city or state or federal government provides for you, and all kinds of other Social Security, did I say it? Well, at any rate, if you save in addition to that, you've got several sources of income after you retire, and it's very nice if you have the discipline to do that, and if that's what suits you. So either through personal choice, it's all personal choice, through my own decisions, but because of how I was predisposed and raised, I came into this world with this impression of going to work like a soldier off to war, as my dad commuted to New York every day. And even then, his industry dried up underneath of him, textiles, and he had to jump from job to job and then eventually get out of the textiles industry, and was forced into check cashing, where I took over when he died as I was coming out of college, and ended up having to shoot a guy as I was being robbed. So formative, yeah. The idea that one must be a rugged individual to forge, well, you forge your tools, I guess you slash, or make your path through life, self-navigating, switching fields, switching careers as necessary, calling upon the resources that are primarily within you. It can be fun, it can also be stressful, but the ability to do that is, in fact, a safeguard against losing it all from whatever, not having the right insurance when a certain disaster strikes because you didn't think of that one insurance. Life is funny. Material possessions and accounts and God forbid, relationships and people can be wiped out in a heartbeat for circumstances that are entirely beyond our control, as we're reminded repeatedly by many of the incidents in the news lately, both of man-made and nature-made origin. And only that's inside of you, only that is within you and that you carry around is, what can't be taken away from you. It's your best investment you're making. And so that's the other video again. Why SEO, why all these YouTube videos, and why so little editing. That'll be coming up, but for this one, I guess I wrap up. I was talking about my move. Yeah, so I'm living it. I'm really living it, and I am transitioning my skills adjacent from here to here, from print to webmastering to SEO. And now it's the transition from SEO to something very much having to do with data from multiple data sources, normalized, artistically crafted, and joined into insightful reports on action items, which if you act upon, the system will notice that you've acted upon it and track how much good it did, so that there's a recurring iterative cycle that starts out in batch mode, both process-wise and organizationally, and how the tasks are done. moved over to real time. And then that last step of highly predictive stuff. The highly predictive stuff actually comes right now too during the batch process time, but not to the same depth and certainly not the same elegance and user interface that will be there when I am no longer cobbling together stuff as an old school webmaster would. But while I'm doing it, I'm loving it, and it's a great bootstrapping your whatever you're interested in process. So I'll share it with you as I go. Thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you soon. And don't forget to subscribe.